I see my wife, my golden, looking like a rich man's wife with a proper double chin, supervising meals to her heart's delight. I see her putting on airs and strutting like a peacock. Ooh, what a happy mood she's in, screaming at the servants day and night. Oh, you call this clean? The most important man in town would come to fawn on me. They would ask me to advise them, like Solomon the wise. If you please, Reptavia, pardon me, Reptavia, posing questions that would cross a rabbi's eyes. But a boy, but a boy, but a boy, but a boy. And it won't make one bit of difference if I answer right or wrong. When you're rich, they think you really know. If I were rich, I'd have the time that I lack to sit in the synagogue and pray, and maybe have a seat by the eastern wall. And I discuss the holy books with the learned men 7 hours every day. And that would be the sweetest thing of all. If I was a rich man, all day long I'd bitty bum. If I was a wealthy man, I'd never have to work hard. Lord, who made the lion and the lamb, you declared I should be what I am. Would it spoil some vast eternal plan if I was a wealthy man?
It is my pleasure to welcome back our guest speaker today. Christiane Turner is one of our great friends, and she's got a very impressive bio I could read to you. We've heard it before, but what we never say about her is the experience she brings every time she comes. She is a great teacher, but first she's a seeker, just like we are. And everything that underlies her message is that the life that we lived up till now is not the life we need to live and carry into the future. And here to tell us more is our friend, Christiane.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So wonderful to see so many friends. Wow, awesome. Some of you I've known for a very long time. I got to give a hug from you, Rick. And I know some people have come from yesterday as well, from our awesome Law of Attraction Summit that we did. Thank you, Tina. I see you back there. Thanks for organizing that and bringing the community together on that level. And I know there are some new friends too. So hello, I'm Christiane Turner. I'm a coach, I'm a trainer. I spend a lot of my time in China. And I've been going there for 9 years now as a trainer, a corporate trainer, as a healer. And NLP, Hellinger work, coaching, putting all those things together, and of course my favorite topic, the Law of Attraction, which I have been following ever since I saw the movie What the Bleep Do We Know, The Secret, The Meta Secret. I got my hands on every book I could imagine to learn and study it. And that's the expertise essentially that I'm bringing here today, and I'm so grateful for the invitation because I always love coming here and playing with you guys. So thank you for giving me that wonderful opportunity. I've traveled about 300 miles to be here because I do live in Kanab in southern Utah. So I always love when I have some, connection with the community. So please make sure you say hi and let me have some hugs, okay? I can definitely always use more hugs. So you guys, it is an honor, it is a pleasure. It's a great privilege to be here today. And being Sunday, I would like to start with a little story. Because funny enough, today is the 5th of November, exactly 1 month ago, on the 5th of October. I got up very early in the morning. Usually we got up between 6:30 and 7 o'clock in the morning so that we would be on the trail at about 7:30 before we would then walk for about an hour to get our first café au leche and croissant for the day. And it was in Spain, in northern Spain, that we put our hiking boots on and put our backpacks back on. Day number 5 of our hike. We had made it up the huge, huge mountain. We had a 2,300-foot climb a couple of days before. So we were pretty well worked in. No blisters, everything was awesome, and it was a very cold morning. So again, we left without breakfast, and we just had some water. We had some, some of those, what do you call them, trail mixes. And we were like, okay, on the road somewhere there's going to be a cafe. Well, here we are, we're walking, and it's starting to get a little lighter, and the fog is around us. It was really amazing how beautiful the landscape is in northern Spain. And we are walking, and it is a spiritual journey. I don't know how many of you know what the El Camino is. It is called the St. James Way. In German, we call it the Jakobsweg, because Jakob, St. James, was one of the disciples of Jesus who, according to the story, actually went to Spain to be a missionary in the Iberian Isles. And he was beheaded by a Jerusalem king in the 40s after Christ. And then his body was brought to northern Spain and buried and then discovered about 800 years later. And some people say it was just an incredibly good marketing scheme of the Catholic Church, bringing some, excitement back to the church at that time. The point is, millions and millions of people have walked the path of St. James since, which is about 800 kilometers, 500 miles from the border of France to Santiago de Compostela on the border of the Atlantic, and about 500 miles. And we only did 1/4 because we had 2 weeks, and a lot of the other pilgrims actually did the whole trail of 500 miles. So we're 5 days into it. Life is awesome. We're getting some wonderful messages. And I had definitely set my intent. I had some very specific intents that I wanted to fulfill on this journey. And one of them was to just be really present with all the magic that's around us and absorb it and just be present with it and enjoy it as much as possible and put it in my heart, put it in my head, and have it with me for the rest of my life. So here we are walking, and the fog is just phenomenal. I grew up in Germany, and there's a lot of fog. Now in southern Utah, we don't have that much. So it was very special. The humidity was very high, and we're walking through this fog. It was just absolutely magical. And here we are, we're getting there. Okay, we've walked about 4 or 5 miles now, getting a little hungry here. And then we looked on our map. There wasn't any marks for any cafes. So it's like, oh, well, okay, we're going to do our, snacks and our water, no big deal. But it sure would be nice to have a cafe, So here we are, walking through the mist, and it's deep, deep, dark, so foggy, like you wouldn't believe it. You could cut it with a knife. It was so humid. And we are walking, and it was literally like in a magical fairy tale. Has anybody ever seen the movie Brigadoon? I remember being a little child, and there was one of those Christmas movies that would show. It's my favorite Gene Kelly movie, Brigadoon. It's this little, isn't it Scottish? A little Scottish village that just appears every 100 years out of the mist. And then, of course, these 2 hikers stumble into it. They get absorbed. We do a lot of line dancing and stuff. And then at the end, boy gets girl, and isn't that beautiful movie? And then the other, you like that? And then the other one is, of course, Avalon, the Mist of Avalon, and the whole Camelot stories and King Arthur legends and all that stuff. So that's how we felt. We're like, oh my goodness, we're walking through this misty, beautiful environment. It was absolutely magical. Lo and behold, we're coming into a little village, and the villages that we passed through, literally, we didn't see an airplane for almost 10 days. We didn't see a gas station or a truck or anything that's like called usual civilization, city stuff. And that was truly phenomenal. When we heard our first airplane, we're like, wow, it's been over a week since we've actually heard an airplane. So you only saw those hundreds of years old villages with those little tiny farmhouses with the grandmas who make their own honey and bake their own cakes with the chickens, that they have at home. And I mean, just amazing, and totally different energy than what I'm used to. So we're coming around the corner, and there's this old wall. Every wall is old, like hundreds of years old. Cassie, you have no idea how many times I thought of you, and I wanted to make contracts with you. Like, come on, let's go and do some real estate here. And I wanted to buy everything, literally, and turn it into little cute healing retreats. I mean, amazing, beautiful houses, and just the atmosphere of those buildings was amazing. So we're coming around this wall, and in that moment, the fog lifted, and we literally stumbled into paradise. There was a big table sitting right at the gate, big gate, like imagine a farmhouse. And there was a guy sitting there in the back working on a bed, cats running around. The table was completely covered with food. At least 20 different items of food, breakfast items, and eggs, and bread, and muesli, and everything you can imagine. Guy walks up to us, would you like a cafe leche? We're like, oh yeah, okay, wonderful, thank you so much. Universe provides, thank you, thank you. And we're sitting there making bread and putting marmalade on it and making ourselves some cereal. And there are like at least 20 different pilgrims standing around and sitting around. And so we're starting to explore the space, and there is this little art corner in the back. And then they have the Wi-Fi corner. Wi-Fi is X'd out, and they wrote hugging corner. You know, just little cute stuff like that. There was a chessboard. 2 people were sitting there playing chess. There was the young hippie sitting on the guitar, you know, on the couch playing the guitar. And then everywhere you went, you got a stamp for, you know, you had to prove that you actually walked away. Did you guys know that you actually got your sins forgiven when you walked the last 100 kilometers? So here I am, 50 years old. I'm sin-free, yo, baby. So that's the kind of stuff. I mean, I find that very cute. I did grow up Catholic, so to me that's a fun joke. And so instead of putting a stamp on, he drew a stamp. It was just magical. And then to top it all off, the guy looked like frickin' Jesus. Seriously, that beautiful brown hair, you know, the long beard and those eyes. Oh, the perfect eyes. And he just looked at you. And it was not just like giving you a hug. No, it was a melting hug. And then there comes always this awkward moment where you're like, okay, we're done hugging now. And you're kind of pushing them. No, you're staying here, darling. Okay. I cried a lot in that hour that I spent in that place because it was so overwhelming. It was so beautiful. It was so sweet and welcoming. It was truly like paradise. It was Eden. And the whole time I'm enjoying it while I'm also meta to myself going, okay, this is really happening. Oh my goodness, what's going on here? What are we doing? Did we stumble into a different dimension? Did we go into a different parallel universe? You know, the Jesus just magically manifested himself. I mean, whatever, it was absolutely beyond magical and so beautiful. So we did tear ourselves away after an hour and say, okay, we got to keep hiking. We have a specific goal we need to achieve today. And we were ready after lots of hugs, and yeah, we're going to see you again. By the way, he was a young Australian who did the El Camino 3 years ago, and there are a lot of people who get stuck, who come back. I have met people from Canada who did it their 6th time. We met other people, we met people from all countries of the world. We met people from all faiths. It was absolutely phenomenal. We talked with people from Lebanon and Morocco, Russia, Canada, and New Zealand. It was just a big human family, and that's what touched me so much about this place. And so I have 2 reasons why I shared the story with you. First of all, I think there's at least a couple of people in this room who need that moment and just that spark of hope that we have the possibility as a humanity to come together. I was on this trip actually for 6 weeks. I first went to work in China, then I flew to Germany, picked up my sister, and then we went on the El Camino. And the whole time I was gone, because it was in the beginning of September, all I heard was Houston, and then Florida, and then of course the wildfires with Montana, and then it went to California. And it was just one drama after another. And the whole time, anytime I put on my Yahoo account, it's like, oh my goodness, there's just something else completely insane. And we're not even talking about Mr. Korea, which, by the way, I was 100 miles from North Korea the whole time, and I just kept, we got some cool NLP institutes up there in Shenyang, and so there was a lot of prayer and energy sending going on. So crazy times, you guys, crazy times. And so what I got out of this whole experience of walking into this sweet little paradise was hope. There is this human family. There are these places. There are these little pods, those hubs where people can come together, and everybody is welcome. It doesn't matter what country you're from, what your sexuality is, what your background is, what your preferences are. It does not matter. Everybody is welcome. Everybody is being fed. There is this aura of love, and I just get goosebumps just thinking about it, how totally tremendous it is to know that we have such places in the world. Now I got to tell you a little tangent side story, because on the first day, my sister is a very hardcore vegetarian. I'm kind of on the border. I do 90%. So she found us a beautiful vegetarian hippie hostel. And there was a cute little bar, and we sat there and had our cafe leche. By the way, that's the doping of the pilgrims. Leche and chocolate croissants. You're good to go. For $2. $2. $1 for the coffee and $1 for the croissant. Unbelievable. So we lived off that stuff. And so I'm checking my Facebook because, I had made promises about doing some posts. And the first post that came up on my page that morning or afternoon was actually from one of my students who had just posted a video. And I don't know if some of you might have seen it. It's an old Jewish lady who tells her experience of being a twin during the Second World War and her horrendous experiences in Auschwitz when she was separated from her family. Her mother, her father, her older sisters immediately were killed, and she and her sister became part of the Dr. Mengele experiments with twins. And so she recounts her experiences and all the horrendous things she had to go through. She almost died. She got separated from her sister. And I'm going to make the long story short, because you guys can Google it. You can definitely find it. It's a very, very famous video. And that lady ultimately shares her forgiveness journey with the Nazis and especially with Dr. Mengele, because she actually wanted to make sure that the stories are getting remembered. And so she started doing some research. She found a German Nazi who was actually a doctor in Auschwitz at that time. So she started making contact with him. And she used him essentially as a surrogate to start her forgiveness journey. And she started communicating with him and his family, and they made plans to go to Auschwitz together. And so she wrote a letter. And then, because she wanted the letter to be perfect, she had a professor who was a friend of hers edit the letter. And so as she was talking with the professor challenged her and said, you know what, you don't need to make peace with that doctor. You need to make peace with Dr. Mengele, the originator of the whole project. What did they call him? The Death Angel? No, something like that? Yeah, he was definitely a major, he played a major role in the whole regime. And then that lady went like, no way, I'm not going to forgive him. How could I ever forgive this guy? And then she thought about it, and so she went home and she went to her dictionary and she said, I just pulled out the nastiest words I could think of. And I wrote them all down, and I imagined him sitting in front of me, and I just threw all of that stuff at his head, And then it turned into a conversation, and then I forgave him. And she said it was the most freeing, most beautiful, amazing experience of her life. By that time, I'm sitting there, I'm just bawling my eyes out, this is just, for me as a German to hear that, and I'm always, those of you who have been with me for a while, you know that this is one of the big things that I'm working on, this cultural forgiveness, this letting go of the sins of our ancestors, the sins and the judgment that we put on ourselves. And that's what touched me so much in that story. So, to bring it back, in my beautiful little Avalon, Eden, paradise, there, all of a sudden, this guy who plays the guitar on the couch goes, hey guys, by the way, I'm from Israel. It's my mom's birthday. And would it be cool if we all took a picture together and everybody sent their birthday intent, and then we're going to send that to my mom, okay? And I'm like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. How wonderful it is to be invited to be part of this picture, because I know there is some healing, there's some releasing going on to attract it into my life at that specific moment. So we're taking the picture, we're all doing happy birthday, mom, and hugging and chanting. It was just absolutely beautiful. So, and I really wanted to connect with him, I wanted to go with him and just somehow share with him, like, hey dude, that means a lot to me that you did that. So I finally took all my guts, as we're separating ourselves, saying, okay, we need to leave now. I'm like, okay, I got to talk to this guy. So I just went over to him, and he was sitting back on the couch. And I'm like, you know what, dude, I just want to tell you, this was just so amazing. And I'm so grateful that you involved us in the greetings to your mom. It really means a lot to me. Oh, yeah, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Germany. Oh, how cool. Oh, where are you from in Germany? I'm like, well, I'm from the area of Frankfurt. And he says, oh, that's where my uncle lives. He is my mother's twin. Okay? And I'm going, universe, wow. We're always at the right place at the right time, you guys, always. And the magic always happens, and so we hugged. And it was so freeing. It was such a huge release. And I knew that this was not us two humans hugging. This was souls and cultures and millennia of people hugging and coming back together and making peace and creating a new world for ourselves. Just amazing. It was such an incredible experience. So when we're leaving, literally after we looked around, then the fog just completely closed up the scene again, just like with Brigadoon, and it was gone. And Martina and I just went, did this really happen, or did we just make this up in our head? Holy smokes, how amazing is that? So that was definitely the ultimate highlight of our journey. The journey itself was 11 days, 10 and a half days. So there was day 5 perfectly in the middle. I always like to look at things from the heroic journey perspective. So that was definitely the big heartfelt wow that I got. And I told you guys I have 2 reasons for telling you that story. So first of all, I think there are some people who simply need to hear that message of hope, that we are that kind of world where ultimately when you take the governments and all the regimes and everything out of the picture, people just want to love each other. People just want to connect with each other. People are nice. We're just nice, good, wonderful people who all want to be together. And that was the biggest lesson that I learned on the El Camino, that everybody greeted everybody, because you could see by the footwear and everybody had the shell on their backpack. There was this immediate recognition. And some people asked me, so what's the energy like? So here's my thing. Imagine every cool Grateful Dead concert, rainbow gathering, rave, and Comic-Con all together. On the road, okay? That's what the El Camino is. Seriously, you guys. Because there is this togetherness. You're seeing someone you've never seen before, but you are together because you're doing this trek together. And there's this immediately connection that was so phenomenal to me. And that's the second reason I'm telling you guys this story, because I want to honor this center. You guys are a hub. You are a little paradise. You are that little Garden Eden that people can come to. That little space, that vortex that you guys have created through prayer, through meditation, through reverence, through rituals and ceremonies. There is an energetic footprint that you're making right here. And in your other center too that you had before that. And whatever physical space you're creating, you are creating an energetic footprint and an actual vibration that then envelops everybody who comes in here. And I can physically feel it when I walk in here. And it's in the smile of everybody who welcomes you when you come into the door. It's in the perfection and the attention to the details that you guys doing, having beautiful, ornaments and the cute little candles. And I'm just looking around and like all these attentions to detail. And all that effort that the practitioners are putting into it, the musicians and the volunteers. I mean, it is magical. It is absolutely magical what you guys are creating for our world. And we need it. We need it so badly, you guys. And we need a lot more vortexes and a lot more hubs like this. And so that's why I also shared that story, to really just honor you guys, to appreciate you guys, and let you guys know what you're doing is highly, highly appreciated. It is very, very needed, and people know it, that we need a lot more of it. And so please keep doing what you're doing, and I'm so thrilled to see how well filled the ranks are and how many people you are attracting. That is absolutely phenomenal. So big round of applause for you guys. This is truly phenomenal. So, how much time do I have? Do I have 10 more minutes? 10 Minuten? Good, then you're going to get it. Okay, I always ask myself, okay, what can I give these people that is of value? When I come here, you guys are my A+ students, okay? I have a lot of classes, especially in China, where there is a lot of convincing talk still going on. Yes, the law of attraction is real because, and then I have my scientific stuff and all that, so I'm used to that, okay? And I'm not really enjoying that anymore, to be honest. I want to work with people who are conscious, people who are already on their path. No convincing, okay? We're just going to do something really cool here. So I'm always like, okay, what can I give these guys that is useful to you? And I'm going to go into the depths, okay? We're going to go into the nitty-gritties of my latest discoveries, because I've been on this track of the law of attraction officially for at least 15 years. And then very, very, very specifically on a level of I really want to become a master of this, because I really believe the world needs more masters of people, and it's not about personal satisfaction and like, hey, I'm going to create all those riches in my fabulous own life. I really believe that the law of attraction is the #1 tool that we need to elevate our consciousness to the next level so that we can deal with the global issues that we're currently dealing with. Pollution-oriented, what's going on environmentally, what's going on in our political systems, in our school systems, what's going on with violence in our community, and so on and so on and so on. That's what I really believe is the effect of the law of attraction. Because when we raise our own vibration, then we are in a happier place. We are healthier, our relationships are better, we have more money, our career flourishes, our lifestyle is good. Then we are overfilling with energy, we're overflowing with energy, we have enough to give to others. And when everybody does that, then society naturally heals itself. Confucius said, we don't need laws when we have an enlightened community because everybody just naturally behaves in a way that's conducive to the community. And that's the world that I'm dreaming of. That's what this little Avalon in the mountains of Spain showed me, that it's totally possible, that kind of society where it is completely beneficial for everybody and everybody contributes and everybody somehow benefits from it. And it's this beautiful flow that everybody then gets elevated. So the study that I'm the most interested in, that is the most profound and that I would like to offer to you, you can do your own research on it, so today is just a very casual introduction, is called Hermetics. Hermetics. Coming from the master Hermes, which you have heard, he's the scribe of the goddess Isis. And just like they say in Lord of the Rings, history turns into stories, stories turn into legends, legends turn into myths. So what we now perhaps refer to as the god Hermes, or how he then later was called in Greece and Rome, Mercury, the scribe of the gods and the winged god, he is the one who I believe wasn't a real master, was a real shaman, magician, whatever you want to call him, who had very, very high level of enlightenment. He was an avatar. He was someone who had it made very, very early. And his teachings are written on the emerald tablets. And when you watch the movie The Secret, there's this really cool intro where they take you through. The secret was covered, it was burned, you know, this whole dramatic entrance. And they show the tablets actually being buried in front of the pyramids of Egypt. So the point is, I've been reading the Kybalion at least 20, 30 times in the meantime. And there are some very, very interesting principles. And you guys can totally relate with that because every single religion that we are having on this planet at this point is actually based on Hermetics. Hermetics is the cradle for philosophy. When you think about what the principles are, the first principle is that everything in the universe is one. The second principle is as above, so below, the correspondence. It needs to happen in the energetic level for it to happen on the physical level. The third one is vibration. Everything in the universe is in motion, everything vibrates. Everything is made of energy. They wrote that 3,500 years ago, thank you very much. Quantum physics can now prove it. Law number 4, polarity. Everything comes in opposites. And then law number 5, rhythm, that the waves go in and out. Law number 6 is cause and effect. And law number 7 is gender. And this is what I want to give to you guys, because there is a whole big discussion about the idea of yin and yang. Oh, well, when your business is going really well for a while, then you have to deal with the fact that it's not going well for a while. Well, you know, after the meager years always come the fat years. There is this weird perception that we have, that there is this duality that good has to follow bad or bad has to follow good, and that you have to know what hate is in order to love. I mean, there are so many weird sayings that are flying around. So one of them that I didn't grow up with as a child is no pain, no gain. We don't have that saying, okay? There are some sayings that we have in Germany that are perfectly translated into English, and we even have that with China. We love to look at old sayings and metaphors and like, do you guys have that? Do you guys have that? So no pain, no gain, I didn't grow up with that. We had the, if you want to be beautiful, you have to suffer, which I always had to hear when my mom was doing my hair and she was pulling my hair. I went, ow, mom, ow, mom. She was like, hey, if you want to be beautiful, you have to suffer. So that's one of those that we have, okay? And when you ask yourself, what is reality? What is universal law? What is God truth? And what is man-made truth? What is human law? And where do we separate ourselves from universal law? That's how I think we get ourselves in trouble as humans, because we're not adhering to the God laws, to the universal laws, which to me are the higher hierarchy laws. The law of gravity is a very physical law. When I take this piece of paper and I let it drop, of course it's going to go to the floor, because gravity is a universal law that makes sense on this planet. The only problem is, how do airplanes fly? Well, because they actually adhere to the law of lift, which is a higher hierarchy law than the law of gravity. Then, when you take the law of attraction, that is an even higher law, a higher hierarchy law than the law of lift. And that's, for example, how people can make themselves levitate. That's how we can send telepathic messages to each other. That's how we can all of a sudden have an insight of something that happens across the world. That's how these paranormal phenomena are being possible. And they are not magical at all. They are law. They are universal law. It's just the matter of vibration, Are we vibrating at the level of gravity? Are we vibrating at the level of lift? Or am I vibrating at the level of law of attraction? And that's what I loved so much about what Teresa shared with us from the writings from Lana, that it's our choice. We can unconsciously just trudge around and stumble around in life and flow from emotion to emotion, or we can become a master and really create that alignment within ourselves, between our head, our heart, our gut, all of ourselves, our whole beingness, so that we are in charge of our emotion. We can flow with our emotion, and then we don't have to do this bad and good and always back and forth. And that's the teaching I got from the Tao. And it's not about being this kind of zombie who just walks in the middle. The Tao really means to be in the flow. And that's what I see, for example, when we river raft the Grand Canyon or the Green River. If you've ever done that, you're not going in the perfect line in the middle of the river the whole time. What you're doing is you're going with the jet stream. There is this natural flow, a natural current that flows through the river that then the boat or the fish, they will find. And that is what the Tao is. So sometimes that means flowing a little bit more to the right, and sometimes it means flowing a little bit more to the left. So I have one phrase, you guys, from the Kybalion that I want to share with you, and it's so important that I actually brought my computer so I can read it to you, because I really want to make sure I give you the original wording. So let's just get really relaxed. And let this be the opening of the door. So if you've never heard of Hermetics before, please, please write it down after this. I'm actually making a promise. I'm going to put a little bit of information on your guys' Facebook page. I'm also going to post some of my pictures from that beautiful little paradise that we encountered, so you guys get a visual of it. Okay? Cool. So I'm going to also post this so that you guys, seriously, I've read this 100+ times. And the first few times when I actually read the Kybalion, I went completely over it. And it was very frustrating to me, but then I discovered it, and here it is, you guys. By the way, there is some interesting language, because of course it's way old, so please translate it in your own head into your own language that is more law of attraction appropriate. Perhaps I will do that in the future. The Hermetic masters long since have discovered that while the principle of rhythm is invariable and ever in evidence in mental phenomena, still there were two planes of its manifestation so far as mental phenomena are concerned. They discovered that there were two general planes of consciousness, the lower and the higher, the understanding of which fact enables them to rise to the higher plane and thus escape the swing of the rhythmic pendulum, which manifests on the lower plane. In other words, the swing of the pendulum occurred on the unconscious plane and the consciousness was not affected. This they call the law of neutralization. Its operations consist in the raising of the ego above the vibrations of the unconscious plane of mental activity, so that the negative swing of the pendulum is not manifested in consciousness, and therefore they are not affected. It is akin to rising above a thing and letting it pass beneath you. The Hermetic master or advanced student polarizes himself at the desired pole, and by a process akin to refusing to participate in the backward swing, or if you prefer a denial of its influence over him, he stands firm in his polarized position and allows the mental pendulum to swing back along the unconscious plane. All individuals who have attained any degree of self-mastery accomplish this more or less unknowingly, and by refusing to allow their moods and negative mental states to affect them, they apply the law of neutralization. The master, however, carries this to a much higher degree of proficiency, and by the use of his will, he attains a degree of poise and mental firmness almost impossible of belief on the part of those who allow themselves to be swung backward and forward by the mental pendulum of moods and feelings. The importance of this will be appreciated by any thinking person who realizes that creatures of moods, feelings, and emotion the majority of people are, and how little mastery of themselves they manifest. If you will stop and consider a moment, you will realize how much these swings of rhythm have affected you in your life. Hermeticists claim that the master or advanced student is able, to a great degree, to escape the swing toward pain by the process of neutralization before mentioned. By rising on the higher plane, much of the experience that comes to those dwelling on the lower plane is avoided. So that is our quest as masters, to become so self-aware that we catch ourselves when we're getting into the negative mental patterns, when we're beating ourselves up, when we're being judgmental, critical, when we're thinking of ourselves as victims. when we're trudging ourselves down with our own internal dialogue. I can't do this, I can't do this. And that's what I very much learned when I had to hike up those 2,300 feet, because I knew it was going to happen that day, and it was 10 degrees hotter than it was supposed to be. So my mental dialogue was definitely, why is it so hot? Why do I have to do this? I can't believe it's so hot. And things like that. Versus, wow, I'm so blessed for this step. Wow, thank you so much for that step. Wow, look how awesome my lungs are working. Wow, heart, you're beating so beautifully. So I actually created a mental mantra for myself. There was a beautiful, it's one of those Lorraine Hoffmannshoff songs that has a mantra that I was just singing, always in 4-step rhythm. And the other thing I did is I just thanked my body. Thank you, heart, for beating. Thank you, lungs, for breathing. Thank you, feet, for walking. And that immediately changed how easy I got up the hill, how much I was sweating, how much I was huffing and puffing, how heavy my backpack felt, and my whole constitution of just being happy versus, I can't believe I have to walk up this hill, you know? So that is a very physical, practical example right there. Use traffic. I used to get so mad when people would slow me down in traffic. You know, like you're cruising 75 on the left lane, and then someone gets in front of you going 65. Oh man, that used to push my buttons. Nowadays, I can just go, this is happening for a reason. They're slowing me down for a reason. I'm shifting dimensions or whatever. You know, I have some cool little saying where it's just, no big deal. And so what are your button pushers? Where do you get pushed? Where do you get into that low vibration? You know, what people, circumstances, and events get to you that all of a sudden you go from that, man, I was having a great day. What the hell happened, you know? So catch yourself in those moments, okay? So this is your homework, you guys. This is my call to action. This week, catch yourself every single time, starting right now. Your mood just shifted. What was going on? Or you know what those buttons are. You know who those anchors are in your life. So catch yourself at that moment. Practice awareness. Take a deep breath. Oh, that's what Christiane talked about on Sunday. Great. This is the wonderful example for me right now to practice this and increase my mastery. So I would love to hear a commitment from you guys, a promise to yourself that you are going to step more into your own mastery. We need more masters, okay? We need more people who are self-actualized, who are in a high vibration, who are mastering their own life, so they can send that beautiful ripple effect, so that every one of our homes can be one of those sweet little paradises that other people can walk by and it's like, just feels good. Or people who come into your house are like, man, this is a temple. Thank you for creating such a beautiful sacred space. So that's why I shared with you what I shared with you today. I hope I'm going to be back next year. We're actually taking off to China for 12 weeks. I am officially homeless as of the 1st of January. We're going on a world trip. We're starting with Asia and see what happens after that. So we're literally, this whole letting go that you guys just had in your prayer, I was hearing that. I'm like, yeah, I'm letting go, I'm letting go. I'm letting go of everything that is safe and secure and what my parents told me I should do as a good, you know, citizen, to have a nice, steady job and live in the same house for 40 years. Sorry, Mom and Dad, ain't happening. So we are going on a big, big trip. I will definitely check in with Salt Lake every so often. I love you guys. I miss you guys terribly when I'm not here. Of course, that's when I practice my bilocation and my, you know, tuning in with you in different dimensions. So please stay in touch. I love seeing you guys on Facebook, and I'm just going to send you guys lots of love and greetings from my journeys, and I'm going to show up here next year again, okay? Until then, thank you. Gracias. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Legend. Namaste.
So as we take this moment to go within, we recognize that there is only one. It is that highest consciousness, that is that highest and holy. It is that which has encompassed everything, has created everything out of itself. And as we have claimed that we are of this one, not with or beside, we are of this one, we have that choice in life to take that highest expression of our path that brings us to every moment in life that is the gift, our path that takes us in every moment for our growth, for our place of forgiveness, for our place of joy, in finding those places within our own consciousness that are willing to set ourselves free. And we know it is good and very good. And so we claim this in this moment, that the word has come and been spoken to us through Christiane, has been the right word for the right reason. And I am so absolutely grateful. So we give thanks for the gifts present and thanks for this day and the week forward. And so we let this go, we let this be into that law that makes it so. And together we claim this and say, and so it is.